What's going on, everybody? I'm Cram, and today we're playing a little Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I've been playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for around 8 months on my main account. Initially, when I wanted to start the YouTube channel, I was going to do Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle Earth, which I am still planning to do, but that game isn't out yet. Hopefully, in the next few weeks here, we'll see that. But in the meantime, I wanted to kind of work on some of my skills with content creation, video editing, things like that. So I thought, why not play something I already know, a little Star Wars Galaxy Heroes? We'll have some fun with it. And we're going to do something a little bit different with this account since I've played previously. We're going to do no Force users in this account. So we're not going to have any Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users on the roster. We had to have some in the early game, of course, but we're not going to be building any beyond that. And the main reason I chose to do no Force users is because there's currently an event going featuring the Mandalorian. So this event's going to run all the way through season 3. So you've got 45 days left to capitalize on this as of filming now. Um, and what you get is you're going to get a 3-star version of each of the characters for the BAM unlock. I'll show you a little bit more of my roster here. This is going to be our starting team. It's really a great starting point. It gives you a team full of scoundrels, which is helpful, which I'll get into a little bit later. Um, but starting from 3 stars with those 5 characters is a good point. So that's kind of why we chose to go that route. We know we're going to be limited in a lot of areas actually. We're not going to be able to take on most of the journey guides. I don't think there are any Galactic Legends that don't require a Force user. I could be wrong, but we won't be able to pursue any of those. And it's going to limit us in fleets as well. But you know what? We're going to have some fun with it. We're going to try to make good decisions. We are going to try to be competitive as best as we can. I know on my main account that Carbonite was pretty tough as far as matchmaking goes. Um, I hit 85. I was around a million GP, probably a little bit less, and I was facing people who with 5-6 million GP in Carbonite, and it just wasn't fun. So those matchups aside, we're going to try to compete. We're going to try to advance with this account. But let me show you what I'm working with now and then kind of what we want to build into in the future. So I'll show you the current teams I'm using. And the first one is going to be our that scoundrel team. I'm sorry. Here it is. That scoundrel team that we get from the Bama or from the Mandalorian event. And this team is great for a number of reasons. I mean, we got the Mandalorian here who can slot into a bounty hunter team later on, does disintegrate, so many great things. IG-11 and Queel are just a power couple. They work really well together, even in the late game. You can use them, but in the early game, to have them unlocked and at 3 stars this early is going to be really helpful for us. Grief can jump over to a bounty hunter team as well. He's really useful. Cara Dune, eventually we'll probably want to use her in like a Sanastaros team, I'm thinking. But for now, we're just going to use her with these other scoundrels, and that'll be a good team to get us through light side. We're not having any problems so far. So great early game team. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the Imperial Troopers. And again, this is another great early game team that's going to translate into the late game for us. We're currently farming Veers and Range Trooper on their nodes, along with Dark Trooper. Snow Trooper, you just kind of happen to get a lot of him. He shows up in those data cards that you get for ally points. So as long as you open those, you should be able to unlock him and start him up pretty quick. Also, really cheap to gear. So he's in here for now. Does pretty good damage as well. He'll be the one that we're most likely to swap out going forward, though, and he'll probably slot Piet into his spot. Another team that we're using for now is going to be our Rebel pilots. And the reason for this is we want to hit fleets running. And without Force users, I think Rebels is a pretty good fleet for us to build. Um, we want to have these characters built by the time we hit 65. That way, we're able to compete in Fleet Arena and start getting that crystal income. We want to get up as high as possible. This isn't an ideal team for Rebels, but without being able to build CLS, I think it's a good early game team for us. Any Rebel events, we'll be able to use them, and they could be a backup team for us in Galactic War as well. So all of these teams are going to they have a purpose, and until we hit GAC, we don't need to go much wider than this. But when we get closer to 85, we are going to want to expand our roster a little bit and hit a few different teams. And that's kind of where we come into our first end game team, which is going to be our bounty hunter team. We're going to want to go Aura Singh as our lead because she has a nice contract to get to pretty quick. We can use Mando's Disintegrate nice and early, always helpful. Bosk is a great tank. He could be a good leader as well, but the main reason we're farming Bosk is for the Houndstooth. So helpful, game changer in ships. You don't get to Bosk's node until you hit level 85, and Aura's is pretty late too. So both of these characters won't be available to us early, but this is the ideal lineup that we want to run once we do get to the late game. If you want to take it a little further and you wanted to put an Omicron in here, you could swap Boba Fett for Zam Wessel and throw the Zam Omicron, and that makes a really good GAC team. So that's something that we may consider as we move along as well. But for now, this is what we're targeting for growth. And another benefit of farming this team is that they're going to do the Chewbacca unlock for us as well. So you want to get Chewbacca unlocked along with Raid Han for Millennium Falcon. That's going to help us with our Rebel fleet and stay competitive in our fleet arena so we can keep that crystal income up. Next team is one that I mentioned already. It's the BAM team. So we want to farm Beskar Armor Mando. He's going to be our first journey guide target. Great scoundrel team. He works with a lot of different carriers. This is a versatile team. Is kind of why we have this built the way we do. We have Jango Fett in here, and that's just because we're going to be hammering that Houndstooth node early on. So we'll have him at 7 stars. And he's also good. He can slot into bounty hunter teams, no problem. He can slot into separatist teams, no problem. All around great character. We'll have him early, so we might as well take advantage of that and use him. Cara Dune, we will probably eventually swap out of here. Like I said before, we might slot her into a Sana Staros team, but we'd be looking to get likely Dash Rendar into this BAM team. He works really great with BAM. You can swap the two leaderships, either one works. And another character that I personally like, just from lore and through the Clone Wars TV show, is I'd love to get Hondo Ohnaka on this team. Um, Again, we're not looking to play this account ideally, so we can kind of have a little bit more fun with this. And Hondo is just a character that I love. He's the Jack Sparrow of the Star Wars universe. So just such a fun character, and great mechanics in the game. He's got that ransom mechanic. Also, the neutral tag gives him some nice versatility. We can use him in either TB, which is nice. Love to get him into this team eventually as well. Moving on, we have the Geonosians, and Geos kind of feel a little bit like a mandatory team. So we're going to get some use out of them. First and foremost is we're going to be able to help our guild out by getting Watt Shards in Darkside GOTB, which, again, we're still a ways away from. We're really not even in a guild yet. We're in a random guild that we just found available. But later on, when we do want to join, we want to be productive. We want to be helpful. We want to be good guildies. We want to be good friends. So we're going to want to build geos there, and also 3 of them are pilots. So Soldier, Spy, and Sunfac. They make a really good early game fleet under like a Tarkin lead, is I think how we'll probably use them. Um, and it's important because you want to get your dark side ships up early because there's a fleet challenge that gives you Zeta mats, and that's your primary source of getting those Zetas, which are just absolutely transforming to your account. So we want to get the Geos up early as well. And I think the last one that we have access to is Alpha, who, if I'm not mistaken, we get access to around level 60-ish. So we're going to start hammering that node as soon as we have access to it. And then we have a little bit more of an end game trooper lineup. Again, we slotted Piet in here. The only problem with this team is it's a little bit Cairo intensive. As you get Piet, Trooper, and Gideon, they all require quite a few Kairos to build up. Gideon could be swapped out of this team. You could put somebody in there. Like we could slot Snow Trooper in for a little more damage. You could put Stark in there to spread some buffs out. But we want to take this team up. They do 2 assault battles, which are really important to get 3-starred so that you can really start to snowball the income for your account. You want to get those done. Troopers can take them down. A trooper team is amazing in GAC with only 2 Zetas. You need the Veer Zeta and the Piet Zeta, and you can get things rolling. If you are in a guild that doesn't have the raids on Sim, You can also use them to pretty much auto the whole raid at a pretty low gear level. So excellent investment. We're gonna take troopers pretty far. We'll be using them all the way through the end game. Excellent team. Well worth the farm. Again, we still have that Rebel pilots team here. We're using them primarily for fleets, but we might as well get some bang for our buck out of them still as we get into early GAC as well. Like I mentioned, not an ideal team, but we're working with what we have. The last team here, these Tuscans, they're going to be primarily used for us in the crate raid when that comes out. Now, currently, two of them are not farmable, and they definitely won't be accelerated by the time that we need them, but we will start farming them immediately. The others are all pretty easily accessible, and from what CG has told us so far, they are going to tune the lowest difficulty of the crate raid to about a gear 10 character. So, assuming that we don't need these characters at 7 stars right away to enter and to participate in the crate raid, I think this will be a good team to help us put up some points, contribute to our guild. Them, along with the Mandalorian slash bounty hunter cartel characters, are going to be our two primary raid teams that we'll use in the future. So that kind of wraps up the early middle game phase of what I'm planning to build here. With this account, I'm hoping to do updates on it like once a week or so. And then when Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle Earth comes out, we'll be doing videos on that a lot more often. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are going to stick around and watch what we have here to come. So until next time, take it easy.